Right now at 6, called a Multnomah County miracle as an out-of-control SUV barrels down an embankment, authorities say, then ends up in a baby's nursery. Why no one was seriously hurt. Plus,
I didn't have the words or the understanding of what was going on.
The sprawling sex abuse scandal in Vancouver expanding further as Kaiser Permanente is sued, accused of failing to stop the alleged abuse for decades.
And later, the leaked body camera video and racist comments that led an Oregon police officer to resign.
But first, here at 6, a survival story after an SUV just barrels into a home with the family inside the house saying this is nothing short of a miracle.
Let's get right to Catherine Cook live in Pleasant Valley. Catherine, it sounds like a very close call. Walk us through what happened there.
David, the SUV crashed into a baby's nursery. As you can see, crews are here busy boarding up the damage. A lot of infrastructure took the massive hit. I can tell you, though, the baby was not in its nursery. Just 10 minutes before that, his mom heard him crying and came and took him out of his crib. Then this happened. Knowing all of that, this video is even more breathtaking. The crash happened around 12:15 this afternoon. Multnomah County Sheriff's deputies say the driver of the SUV was trying to pass a trailer in a no passing zone on Southeast Jenny Road. She saw an oncoming car, tried to move back, and then sideswiped the trailer, according to deputies. They say she lost control down an embankment and ended up in the house. Somehow, no one was seriously hurt. That includes baby Jorge, just 6 months old. We talked with his uncle, who says the family is grateful.
At least we're not crying on the ER, waiting to see if someone's gonna make it or not. So we're blessed, I think. We're happy, and I think this will be okay.
Back live, a lot of gratitude that no one was hurt, but you can see the damage extensive, to say the least. Deputies say they don't believe impairment was a factor with the driver. She does face several charges, including a citation for reckless driving and 3 counts of reckless endangerment. Back to you.
So glad baby Jorge is okay. Catherine Cook reporting. Thank you, Catherine.
In an update this evening, a new lawsuit accuses Kaiser Permanente of failing to protect patients from a former Vancouver pediatrician accused of child sex abuse. A warning, the details here are not appropriate for all viewers.
That doctor, Michael Wilmington, was found dead of an apparent suicide earlier this month. Today, our Libby Dowsett spoke to the plaintiff at the center of this lawsuit, who asked us to hide her identity.
Embarrassment, shame, kind of feeling that violation.
Attorneys representing a patient only known as Jane Doe filed a lawsuit in King County Monday, the location of Kaiser Permanente's corporate headquarters. They claim Kaiser failed to protect their client and others from Dr. Michael Wilmington's alleged abuse over decades.
The touching, it made me feel kind of like gross in my own body.
We spoke with Jane Doe, who is now living in Marion County. She told us she just came to realize what happened to her from 2000 to 2006 was abuse.
I had felt uncomfortable and if something felt off, but I didn't have the words or the understanding of what was going on.
She says Wilmington made sexual comments to her, showed her pornographic material, required her to be naked when it wasn't medically necessary, and inappropriately touched her. Her lawyers claim they've heard from about 50 people in the last week with their own various complaints about the doctor.
What we've heard is this was a pattern of parents believing that he's doing exams where he's touching the kids, fondling the kids, basically using normal exams to inspect their genitals, to get them naked.
Wilmington was facing a felony warrant for child molestation for allegedly hosting naked sleepovers with young kids at his house, but was found dead earlier this month of an apparent suicide. Kaiser issuing a statement Monday afternoon saying in part, quote, its primary concern continues to be for anyone who has been affected by Dr. Wilmington's actions.
Without talking about it, it's easier for people to kind of push under the rug. So speaking up about it is going to, force the accountability and, have them answer some tough questions of why it happened and what happened.
Libby Dowsett.
Libby Dowsett reporting there. Such a tough topic. Now, Kaiser says it set up a dedicated line for people to reach out with concerns or needs. The number is there on your screen, at the bottom of your screen. That is 877-226-1264. They urge anyone with information relevant to the investigation to contact local law enforcement.
Meanwhile, a third suspect in that child sex abuse investigation appeared in court today. William Snyder-Wine is the man investigators say introduced the two other suspects in the case at a naked bowling event. He allegedly encouraged a medical assistant named Chad Hartley to bring the victim to the pediatrician, Dr. Michael Wilmington, who's accused of having naked sleepovers with that child. This is separate from the lawsuit we just heard about. Snyder-Wine is also charged with tampering with evidence after prosecutors say he went to the homes of the other two suspects when he heard about the arrest warrants. He's set to be back in court on Wednesday. A reminder, if you or someone you know is a survivor of sexual assault, help is available anytime. A good place to start, the National Sexual Assault Hotline. The number is 800-656-4673.
In your headlines, deputies in Washington County arrested a man accused of sexually abusing an elderly woman at a care facility in Raleigh Hills. The sheriff's office arrested 25-year-old Oscar Marquez Alonso on Saturday. Deputies say he had only worked as a caregiver at the facility for about a month before other staff called authorities, worried he was abusing a resident. Detectives say there could be more victims.
In Multnomah County, deputies recovered a body from the Columbia this morning. The sheriff's office saying the person was found near Kelly Point Park. They tell us it's an adult, though no word yet on their identity. The medical examiner will determine the cause of death.
Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield is calling for more state resources to help fight monopolies and what he says are, quote, illegal mergers. Rayfield says consolidation in industries like healthcare, food, and media can lead to higher prices and fewer choices. In a press conference this morning, Rayfield called on state lawmakers to help expand Oregon's antitrust enforcement team inside the Department of Justice. Rayfield says states may need to play a bigger role as federal oversight shifts.
Probably one of the most stark contrasts we've seen with any president is the words that come out of his very own mouth, where he seems to be prioritizing backroom deals and political calculations rather than enforcing the laws that are meant to protect all of us as consumers.
Right now, the AG's office is pursuing active consolidation cases, including the potential merger between local news corporations Nexstar and Tegna, which is KGW's parent company.
And in wildfire news, the Pine Mountain fire burning south of Bend is now about 85% contained. Great news there. The blaze has charged about 2,600 acres in the Deschutes National Forest. It's been burning since Thursday after a planned burn there grew out of control. Matt?
All right, David, what a beautiful day west of the Cascades. Just abundant sunshine all over the place, clear blue sky. Hard to find a cloud really anywhere in Oregon. We're at 79 degrees right now. We topped out at 81. It'll still be mostly sunny tomorrow, especially early in the day. But as we go through the day, we're going to see clouds develop. Some of those are going to develop into showers and even thunderstorms, and they may happen during the nighttime hours, or the evening hours anyway, Tuesday night and into Wednesday morning. We don't get a lot of nighttime thunderstorms west of the Cascades, but tomorrow night may be one of those days when we do. But we're definitely going to transition to cooler weather for the rest of the week after being in the 80s. We were near 80 yesterday on Mother's Day, and again today. We'll be topping out in the 60s for several days this week, so it's quite the change. Again, today we hit 81, and tomorrow will be actually a little bit warmer than that. But after that, big cool down on the way. And again, we're going to finally get some May showers, which we haven't seen any of so far this year, guys.
Okay, thank you, Matt. A Northeast Portland small business had just a brutal Mother's Day weekend after thieves broke in on Saturday.
Let's bring in Celine Stevens live on Northeast Alberta. And Celine, it sounds like this wasn't the first time.
David and Christine, you know, that's right. This business had an attempted break-in back in March that did damage their door, but nothing was stolen. Obviously, this time they weren't so lucky, as that thief was able to break into Citizen Ruth through that same damaged door, stole thousands of dollars worth of jewelry items, and according to the owner, for small businesses, things like this can just be devastating.
We're all kind of hanging on by a thread anyway, so when things like this happen, it's usually make or break for a lot of people.
This is video from inside Citizen Ruth early Saturday, a queer, female-owned small business in Northeast Portland.
The door was smashed all the way in, like glass was everywhere. There was like, you know, a little bit of blood out there. And
Briar Wolf was opening the store that morning, the day before Mother's Day.
this time they were able to break all the way in our front door and they stole everything out of our jewelry cases. And it was pretty crazy. We have to stay open and persevere. So we, cleaned up the glass as quickly as we could and opened our doors.
The store was previously targeted at the end of March, but nothing was stolen.
We had the bottom glass of our door smashed about a month ago. I was in process of trying to get that fixed.
Around that same time, on March 27th, Portland police confirmed another local business was hit as well, called Tin Shed Garden Cafe.
They were in and out in about 4 minutes of time and managed to get away with about $7,000 cash from our safe. Small businesses are always just trying to survive and just working hard every day to make things happen, and then somebody comes along and just tries to take. It's very disheartening.
According to Jen, the owner of Citizen Ruth, the community has come out to support them as they stayed open despite the theft all weekend long.
Between the damage and the theft, probably between $1,500 and $3,000. But, for us as a small business, that's a huge amount. This isn't something that small guys can recover from easily.
So according to Portland police, that suspect got away before authorities arrived and has still not been identified. Now, it's still too early to determine whether this incident is connected to the one at Tin Shed, according to PBB, but it is a possibility that they are considering. Jen says the biggest way that people can help them out during this time is just to come to her store and shop local. Back to you.
Yeah, always important to support our local businesses, especially when something like this happens. Thank you, Celine.